Hey, welcome back. So today I'm going to be talking about visionaries and then what it kind of is and what it entails to be a visionary. I made an identity shift within myself. And what I mean by identity shift is basically when you're looking for change and you're looking for real solid change that is lasting, you make a shift within inside of yourself that says, I am. And I know a lot of this audience has understood these I am statements, these I am affirmations, and those things kind of start to iron out the more repetition that you have. But making that identity shift is now you're claiming and you know that you are that specific person. So for me, when I realized that I am a visionary, a lot of the times I was saying these I am statements and not quite understanding what visionary entailed, right? So when I think of visionaries or I help people to shift into what a visionary is, it's somebody that can accurately see and describe and articulate what it is that they're creating. And they have an understanding of how the creation process works, right? So you're looking at something that is in the future, something that is forward looking, something that brings hope to people, and you're leading through that change. You're leading yourself through that change and you're leading others through that change because you become so magnetic, right? So I've helped a lot of people, including myself, to have an identity shift, to change their perspective and their outlook of life. And in this change, this word change is where this is all measurable. This is quantifiable. You can see it not only in your relationships, you can see it in your material life, you can see it in the way that you talk and you think and what you say and how you act. But being a visionary, right? I claim myself, my status, and my identity as a visionary. And what does that mean to me? To me, it's nonstop all day. I'm seeing what it is that I'm trying to accomplish. And I'm taking actions and the steps to accomplish that. And when you take those actions, then you take those steps, you can feel those blockages come up. You can feel when the subconscious is trying to control you through the day. You know, I'm building a course, and in one particular module that I'm going into detail, it's about the thoughts, right? And these thoughts and how these thoughts from an energy form become thoughts, and then how these thoughts become an identity and how you identify with them, and how when you identify them with them, depending on your belief and your truth, it becomes your identity, and you portray that out into the world as your perception of the event, of yourself, of the world, right? And there's 95% of the average human is ran by your subconscious during the day. Only 5% of that is your conscious mind. You're deliberately thinking, right? And there's 50 to 70,000 thoughts that your brain is processing through the day. That's pretty outstanding when you think about it. So in my program of what I'm doing and what I constantly have been testing on myself as well as others is how do we stay conscious? The whole Helios experiment is experimenting on myself on how to heal myself in the best way, the fastest way, how to build habits, how to have an identity shift, to be the visionary, right? And what I like to say to myself is I'm just one vision away from making this my reality. Because the more that I visualize it, the more that I see it, the more it just becomes more clear. And the more that it drips into my reality, and the more I understand, the more I'm able to observe it, and the more that it literally becomes measurable. I can feel the change within myself, and the more that you change and feel the change within yourself, the more that you see your external and your environment change. And a lot of this is, you know, it could be in specific people. You start to see, oh, that person's toxic. Oh, the person's not toxic. It's the energy that you were attracting. It's the energy that you were living in, right? And you saw the contrast of what it was. And now you know what you want, right? So it's not necessarily that these people are toxic, right? Because if you own your energy, then you can own your energy. You can be a visionary and lead through, you know, anything, such as Jesus Christ and his teachings. You know, he was a visionary. He saw the future and he wanted to lead through it. And many other people, you know, and in this process of claiming your identity as a visionary, right, you are claiming your identity to be one that is a deliberate thinker, that you're creating your own destiny, that you're creating your own reality, that you're creating and controlling your own actions, right? Because you are the maker of it. So think about it like when you meditate. or you think of something, or you go somewhere in your mind. The more that you do that, the more you can see that it's easier to go back there. The more that you see it may have color now. The more that you see maybe it's just, you can go back there without even meditating. You can go back there while you're sitting on an airplane, or you can go back there when you're in a mid-conversation, you're kind of drifting off a little bit. The more you iron that out, the more energy that you put into that's you materializing it. And the more that you envision it, right? And when you're envisioning it, the brain has no idea the difference between when you're envisioning something and when you're living in your reality. You know, that's why it's so important when you're consuming content, when you're consuming things of violence, right? Your brain is having traumatic experiences. When you feel that fear, it's invoking that fear. It's because your body does not know the difference of what it's feeling and what it's going through. You're releasing the same hormones to be able to run your lizard brain for survival. That shuts down your prefrontal cortex, right? That literally shuts down the process of you to be able to envision, because now it's time to survive. So that's another thing that I kind of go into in some of my modules is you have to understand what you're up against. You know, I talk about it in my other documentaries. Is really what I'm running is this consciousness submersion during the day. You know, 111 minutes of just submerging my consciousness with somebody else that I want to replicate. And my dreams have completely changed. Like, I am dreaming like I am there. Like, that's never happened to me before, because I truly am separating, you know, the limits. I'm breaking through my barriers of limits. That's how strong this process is becoming. Like, the snowball is just rolling because I can feel my limits come up, and it's almost funny. You know, like it's kind of like when the 4-minute mile was broken. You know, nobody thought it was possible. You know, a lot of scientists said that the body would just break down, like it would fail at those speeds. And the reality is, all it took was one person to break it. And then within 3 weeks, 15 people broke it. You know, it's because they saw that it was possible. And the moment that you see that it's possible is the moment that you start to become who you are saying that you want to become. And that's an identity shift. So for me, like, I am a visionary. I truly believe that I'm a visionary, and I am practicing to be the visionary. So every moment that I'm in, what does the visionary say? What does the visionary do? How does the visionary act? You know, I talked about like how many thoughts come in. 2/3 of those thoughts in the average person are negative thoughts. And yes, you can measure that because it's a frequency. It's a frequency. And what it does is release chemicals in the body. And where is it attached to, right? And all of this is traceable, trackable, measurable, right? And so it's very fascinating. The more research you go into, depending on what it is that you're looking for. I talk about the art of research, because it's very important. Like, you can't just be like, oh, well, I want to do this and I want to be this, and you just keep doing the same things that you were doing. Like, in order to break through some barriers and some limitations, you need to go find the answers yourself. Like, somebody can't just feed you them, right? You know, it's like going to school, but you don't want to be there. Like, when you're there, you're not going to absorb what you were if you were passionate about a specific topic. So being a visionary is literally just that. Like, you're claiming that your identity is a visionary, which is claiming your own power, which is claiming you, right? And in that process, something happens in the brain. Something happens to your consciousness and your energy and the things that you like and the things that you want to do. And it's a powerful tool. And I'll kind of go into detail about a little bit more about how I use visuals or visualization to amplify, right, this process to be able to iron in and change my memories, because you can change your memories. Your memories are stored in long-term memory, which are in the synapses of the brain between two neurons, right? And you can change that process and what it does when you feel specific energy. And I'll kind of go into that probably tomorrow. I'm going to be talking a lot more about the visionary process and kind of an identity shift as more and more people kind of, I see more change in people around me, including myself, the more that I practice these. So I'm glad that you guys are here.